west side of Stillwater.
Stillwater.
As
Yep.
bad as that was, as devastating as that seems, that could have been so much worse. God's plan is far better than what mine was at the time.
So what were you thinking?
What was I thinking? Great question.
All right, today I've got longtime friend Mike Dobrinski, Representative Mike Dobrinski, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about you,
Okay.
not necessarily politics and things like that. And I guess the only thing I know about you is you used to be a car dealer, and you are the voice of the Okeene Whippets.
I was for 27 years. That's something that I gave up about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And when your eyes get to be a challenge, and it's comical, you wouldn't be surprised as we get older, the connection between our brain and our mouth is not quite what it once was, maybe.
Yes.
And that's something in the press box and the fast pace of sports. I'm fine to defer to someone else.
So is your family originally from Okeene?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so you're-
Born and raised there. My parents both grew up there as well. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so I'm the baby in my family.
Okay.
But after graduation in high school in 1980, I went for 1 year to Southwestern at Weatherford on a music scholarship.
What?
And realized that that probably wasn't going to be my future. So I transferred to OSU, and after skipping around a couple of different majors there, ended up business administration, graduated in 1985.
Okay, that was, I guess, my question. What was your actual degree?
Yep.
So then you were, what did you, after college, where did you go?
Even during college, my oldest brother Jim and my mother both worked for the Chevrolet dealership in Okeene at the time. And my oldest brother decided, matter of fact, he went there right out of high school, didn't want to go to college, did not want to work in the oil field at the time in 1976. That was kind of a big thing. But he wanted to be a Chevrolet dealer, and he worked really hard, had some friends, financial backers in 1983 that let him take over in Okeene whenever that dealer made a move to Miami, Oklahoma, to buy another General Motors franchise. And so my brother was in the car business in 1983 as one of the younger Chevrolet dealerships around, one of the younger Chevrolet dealers, I should say, approved dealer. But he really needed some help, and my degree in business administration was helpful there. Obviously, in that timeline around here, kind of a challenging time. The oil field,
in the early 80s.
Oil field was one of them bust times of the boom bust. But I came back and joined him in '85. My wife and I got married, and we dug in and got busy there. And actually, 3 years later, had an opportunity to expand a little bit, and we invested in the Kingfisher store that was available at that time.
So there was a store there already.
Yep,
Okay.
there was. My brother and a couple of partners invested with him to buy the dealership in Okeene in '83, and in '88, Jim and myself and another investor bought the store in Kingfisher. So he commuted back and forth, and Okeene is home for both of us, and I had the 3-block commute there in Okeene.
Nice. Ride your bicycle.
Yep. That was easy. But my wife ended up going back to college and getting her degree in education, and then she started teaching in Okeene in '92. And we had, along with the dealership, we had at the time was a Pizza Inn restaurant.
Oh, I've eaten there many times.
Pizza Inn for a long time that our families had invested in, and along with my sister-in-law and her brothers, and we ended up buying them out over time, and we operated that as a Pizza Inn until 2000, and we closed for a few months, remodeled it, and named it after our grandparents. It was called Charlie and Reuben's for a while there.
Okay.
Our German grandparents, grandfathers, and so we were involved in that restaurant along with the car business there.
Wow. And so at what point did you get out of the car business?
In 2018, the Jackson family approached me. They were in business in Enid, in the Chrysler business. They wanted to get in the General Motors business, and actually Bruce, the father, had been from the Kingfisher area, worked for the Johnson family, managed a Kingfisher store before he went to Enid, and eventually ended up buying them out in Enid. And his 4 boys he had brought up in the car business in various aspects, and so we got together, and I left Kingfisher in November of 2018 and was just at home enjoying the farm and the cattle a little bit and doing some of those things that I had put off after our kids left and went to college. And so I was approached by our representative at the time, Mike Sander, who was getting ready to term limit. And I think he visited with me for a while and encouraged some other folks within our state leadership to reach out to me a little bit. And so this was what I've been doing since.
So I guess my question is that, so what were you thinking?
What was I thinking? Great question. Actually, in full disclosure, I had thought about doing this in 1994.
Oh, no kidding. So this is something you had.
When Frank Lucas left our district, House District 59, to run for Congress, Frank and I visited about it at length, and I gave it some serious consideration at the time. Jim was running Kingfisher, I was in Okeene, my wife was teaching school, and I had the staff in Okeene. I told Jim, I said, I think I can do both. And he did not agree, and respectfully, I bowed not to pursue that at the time because my partner, my brother, did not agree and felt like we just needed to buckle down the car business. And things were going pretty well in 94. Mid-90s, car business was good. The economy in Oklahoma was pretty good. And I thank the Lord that that's the decision I made at the time, because a year and a half later, my wife and I were working on a fertility project, which worked very well and resulted in her giving birth to quadruplets. That would have been...
I didn't know that part.
You didn't know that part, really?
No, I knew about the 3 kids, but I didn't know they were...
4.
Oh,
3 boys and a girl.
oh my gosh.
So yeah, that would have been a train wreck had I been anywhere other than right there in Okeene working at the time. So God's plan is far better than what mine was at the time. Doing this now after having them raised and getting out of business, I'm at a point in my life where this is absolutely public service. I had no idea what it paid at the time and wasn't interested about it because I wasn't really looking for a job.
Yeah.
Technically, we're in session 4 months out of the year, February through May. And the only thing that we absolutely have to do in that time is pass a balanced budget and get the governor to approve it. So we have to do that constitutionally by the last Friday in May. Now, passing bills and doing all these other things wasn't anything that I aspired to be. I don't really consider myself a lawmaker. I'm a representative, legislator. That kind of comes along with the gig, but again, not something I wanted to do when I grew up, but it was something that I had previously considered. And so, believe it or not, a lot of those folks that reached out to me in 1994 and tried to convince me that would have been a good idea, a lot of those had already served and are still in the Capitol lobbying at that time. So a lot of the friends that I made back then are still around, and were honestly tickled to death to hear that I'd still consider it, and they're friends of mine now that I enjoy working with.
So how long have you been a representative?
Serving?
Yeah.
I just finished my 5th year.
Okay. So
I came in 20, COVID.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So during that period, is there any particular project you worked on that you're very proud of, or that was something dear to your heart, or even currently? Is there just a quick summary of
increasing the budget for public education has been important. I have about 18 public schools in my district. Again, 101 reps versus 48 senators, we all represent about 40,000 folks. So I've got parts of 5 counties, totally rural, one end to the other. But on the fringe of Enid, I do represent one private school, Christian school, OBA. And so when we're having these issues, you know, public education versus private, we've certainly had, you know, tax credits, vouchers, people call them, whatever. That has been a difficult conversation for me at times at the Capitol, but we have certainly enabled parental rights in the last several years and given folks a choice or at least an opportunity to make a decision on education of their kids, even though out in our areas we don't have many options available for them. You know, there are a lot of kids, more than would surprise many people, kids that participate in EPIC, online, basically virtual school. And again, representing OBA, they do a great job up there. Some fantastic programs and people that are doing it privately as opposed to public education, which is huge in every community that I serve in.
Wow. Very cool.
Out of those, you know, 18, 19 schools that I have, more than a dozen of them are off the state funding formula.
I know Hennessy's one of them. Yes.
Energy is huge in the district, and whether it's oil and gas with the help of gross production tax or ad valorem property tax rates, we very well support our school districts in our area, and so we do not rely heavily on state for funding, and that is a good thing.
What's next?
Again, the cedar issue came to me.
Cedar trees. Yes.
Yep, the red cedar issue, and it is referred to as an invasive woody species. It's very prolific throughout the state. Don Williams, a former Senator Don Williams from Bauco, served back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and when he term limited, he started lobbying for various entities and groups and things. And he contacted me not long after I arrived at the Capitol and introduced himself. I had known him, you know, from decades earlier, but we got reacquainted again, and he said he was very disappointed that he was unable to get something done about the red cedar in his time, and even lobbying. He had tried to get some things done a couple of times. A former legislator, metro area legislator, Richard Morissette, just passed away this year. He worked really hard back in 2014 trying to get us to address it as a state, and was unable to get that done as well. And Dawn just said, Mike, he goes, I'm not going to be lobbying much longer, and before I retire, I would like you to help me get something done as a state. And so we got started. We were able to get at least a trial study passed in the Terry Peach North Canadian Watershed Restoration Act. That's a mouthful. But using the North Canadian as a trial, the Conservation Commission wanted to focus on that particular watershed and see if eliminating the density of red cedars in that area would increase water flow and bring groundwater back in that area. And the reason that made the most sense was you have the Cimarron watershed to the north and the South Canadian watershed to the south of that. So, they call that the Three Rivers area out in there, where you could focus your attention on this, and you could have your, I'm drawing a blank now, and back to science class, your baseline basically,
Right.
In north and south of that, where nothing was done, and you could actually prove that doing something in this particular area.
Well, I understand
made a
that each tree uses like 50 gallons a day.
It depending on the size, it could be between 30 to 100 gallons a day per tree.
Wow.
And OSU has done extensive research on this, and it goes back to the 90s, and they illustrated for about a 15-year time span, the cedars were progressing about 8% annually. And it has really overtaken a lot of the areas of the state. And in our part, in northwest Oklahoma here, it has become a water issue. And the Ogallala Reservoir that we know is depleting out there at an alarming rate. We are not recharging that with what we're using on an annual basis, so that level continues to drop. And it's a water issue in northwest Oklahoma, but if you look at central and northern and northeastern Oklahoma, it very well illustrated this March with the wildfires what a public safety hazard it has become.
Yeah, they're like a bomb.
It has been very, very well documented, obviously, back in the March wildfires, what a problem we have and how it is unstoppable when you have winds like we had in excess of 60 miles an hour. That did not come as a surprise. It was predicted ahead of time, and whenever the weather forecasters put that down and alarmed everybody, started sounding the alarms, they knew what was likely to happen. And the Forestry Division deployed resources ahead of time, like they have done in northwest Oklahoma numerous times. They get the resources to the area so that they are ready to move whenever they have to. And in that particular case, the governor lost a home during that time. Whenever you and I talk about losing our homes, well, he lost a home in that on a farm homestead that he had north and east of Oklahoma City. And many people lost their homes. And what we saw move up into Payne County and the west side of Stillwater, as bad as that was, as devastating as that seems, that could have been so much worse had resources not been deployed and people not been warned, and our rural companies fire companies taking a stand against that. So I'm one that's been pretty vocal about the governor's response to that was very poor in my mind. His solution was firing the head of forestry, someone that has forgotten far more about forestry and firefighting than many of us will ever know. But anyway, that's how he chose to deal with that, and has yet to reorganize that particular area like it needs to be. That's all under the Department of Agriculture. A lot of people in our part of the state don't realize that forestry is a thing in Oklahoma, but you go down to Hochatown and areas down around Idabel, it is a big deal. Broken Bow, that's a huge part of the economy in that corner of the state.
Wow, this has been very interesting, Jim. Thank you,
Mike. That's good. Nobody's done that in a long time.
Jim, I wrote down Jim, and that's why I said that. Yes, his brother Jim.
There you go. That's all right.
Mike worked with your brother for a long time in car commercials and things like that.
That illustrates how long you've been around.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know how long ago that was, but we used to do all his commercials. Then when his daughter Allie came up, we were working with her. And so anyway, okay.
She was a great spokesperson.
Yes.
Whenever my kids were young, there was talk about implementing that, but those poor kids got enough attention for it at a time. We couldn't go anywhere that people didn't make a big deal out of them. And so that is something we rarely used in our advertising, and I'm thankful at that, actually. Allie did a great job.
Yes, she did. Mike, thank you for hanging out with me and sharing your backstory and the red cedar problem. If you ever need to reach Mike, he's actually answers his phone. So if you have something you need some help with, please give him a ring. All right.
I'm easy to get a hold of, and have the same number that I've had for 30 plus years.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Stay tuned.